Hey everybody, Tiffany here. I hope you're having a great start to your summer vacation, but I wanted to pop in here with a video to let you know about something exciting that is happening in my world. Now, if you look around the room, you can see that my studio is a hot mess. There's a good reason for that, not just that I've been lazy, but I've been working really hard. I'm actually working right now on my second online scrapbooking class. I'm calling it One Trip, Three Ways. And I'm taking this opportunity to just tell you a little bit about it so that you can decide if it's a class that you might be interested in taking when it's available. So this class is going to focus on documenting my trip to Paris in 2015 when I lived there for 6 weeks. Had an amazing time, and you may have even heard some of the podcasts that we recorded from there. You might have heard me talk about the trip. I've even shared a couple of layouts that I've made about the trip. But to be honest, haven't scrapbooked and told as much of those stories as I wanted to because I felt overwhelmed. Like I couldn't find just one format that I felt did my trip justice. And the number of photos and the number of places I went and the amazing stories I had to tell, well, those are all good problems to have. They began to make me feel kind of panicky every time I would get ready to work on them. So I ultimately decided that I would tell the story of my trip to Paris in 3 different formats. I told my story in a planner style mini album. I'm also telling my story in a 12 by 12 mixed album that's more traditional in nature. And I'm using either one or maybe 2 traveler's notebooks to tell the story of that trip because there were some things that just needed a little more attention, a little more detail, a little more journaling. Now, I bet that there are a lot of you all out there who maybe have some really significant trips from your life that you haven't scrapbooked either. So, for example, maybe you went somewhere amazing for your honeymoon, or maybe for an anniversary trip, or maybe even for retirement. You did something crazy and went on, I don't know, maybe you went on a cruise to Alaska, or you spent, 3 months at the beach in Cape Cod, or whatever. Maybe some of you all have trips that were important in other ways. For example, you might have worked on a mission trip, or you might have considered buying property in another part of the world, or you might have started a business somewhere, or even just loaded all the kids and the dog in the station wagon and driven cross country across the U.S. Whatever the case is, I bet that there are many of you all out there who have trips that are either significant to you in terms of the distance and the place that you traveled, or maybe significant in terms of the number of photos you took and the number of stories you have to tell, or even a combination of those things. Well, if any of that applies to you, then this is probably a class that would really benefit you. Basically, I've separated this class into 20 lessons, and in those lessons, I lead you through my process for which format I'm using for which particular kind of story, and then I show you and I talk about the things that I've made as part of that album. Now, my goal in releasing this class is to have it ready by the time I leave on this year's trip. That would be this week. I don't know if I can get it done. I'm just being totally honest. But if it's not ready before I leave this week, then rest assured that it will be ready to be released by the end of July. So either way, you've got a little bit of time to think about whether this class would be something that you're interested in doing or whether it's just not something that's high on your list of things to document right now. The price of the class will be $20, and I think that that's really reasonable when you consider that you're essentially getting 3 classes in one. We're going to go through the planner style mini album, we're going to go through the 12 by 12 mixed album, and we're going to go through the traveler's notebook processes. So if you make any of those kinds of books, or if you want to make any of those kinds of books, then definitely there are going to be some things in this class that I think will be helpful. The other thing I want to mention is that you're going to have hours of videos that you can watch for, entertainment and information, I guess. I also have lots and lots of written content to kind of lead you through my planning and thought process in working on this particular project. And then I also even have a quiz for you all to take and try to decide which formats might be best for the trip that you want to document. I'm really excited about teaching this class, and I hope that it'll be full of content that, maybe you just hadn't considered these kinds of issues from my particular perspective, or maybe I'll help you solve a problem that you're experiencing in planning the documentation of your own trip. Either way, I hope you'll consider taking the class. And if you're somebody who took my first class and you enjoyed it, well, it's still me, and I'm still, teaching the same kind of thing, just a different trip and different scope. And if you didn't take my first class because maybe you weren't sure about it being an old trip, or maybe you weren't sure about the Traveler's Notebook format, well, then I hope you'll give this one a shot, because it is much more recent and it is multiple formats. That's all I have for y'all right now. I need to get back to work on editing videos and getting things uploaded and ready for y'all if you decide that you want to take this One Trip Three Ways class. Keep your fingers crossed that the planets align and that I'm able to finish everything up this week, because that would make me feel so good before I leave town, that I was able to knock this out and get it ready for you. And, if I don't, then maybe, think of me in an encouraging way that I'll be able to get everything finished once I come home. I really appreciate all the support that y'all have given me so far in my online class venture, and hope that this is just another example of a class that you can take and feel really good about how it impacts your memory keeping too. Well, I'm going to go get busy. I hope y'all will go and get crafty in the meantime, and hopefully I'll check in with you in just a few days. See you later.